Hello, everyone, and welcome to John's Drams. This is episode 2, part 2, validation of a concept, whatever you want to call it, I suppose. So about 10 days ago, I put out a podcasty type thing where I use my voice instead of the visuals, and basically asked, is this something that people might want me to carry on doing? And I got a resounding, yeah, it's fine, it'll do, yeah, sure, I guess. It's something, isn't it? So this, well, around about this time last year, let's call it around about this time last year, I did a video talking about the Diageo special releases. And yeah, they've been going down this road for a few years where, they're just very heavy on the old bullshit, and they've carried on that trajectory. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I haven't really looked into them properly. I'm aware of one or two. There's one that I'm definitely aware of, and we'll be talking more about that particular one, because I think it's the one that's caught everyone's eye. It's almost like they went, we've got a really mediocre lineup this year, so let's fire out something weird. But we'll come to that. So, I've got the Master of Malts blog open here, and it's from the 2nd of October, so about a month ago now. Recording this on the 23rd of October. And basically, this is just talking about the new releases coming out. So, I'm going to be doing some sort of impromptu reacting to the bottles, I suppose, and talking a little bit about the weird one. I don't know why I'm acting like, there's some kind of big reveal. We all know I'm going to be talking about the Rose Isle, because that's the weird one. But anyway, let's start with this. So, what have we got here? A fresh batch of rare and unusual whiskies is now live on our site, blah, 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 blah. The 8 Spirited Exchange Special Release 2023 was selected by Master Blender Dr. Stuart Morrison in what is his inaugural special release collection. And it's clear from looking at them and tasting them that the drinks giant is continuing the Rangers shift away from old, rare and ghostly towards funky casks and funkier artwork, and still charging a premium for it as if they were old and rare. It doesn't say that last bit, I just added that bit because I'm ad-libbing here, I'm being fun. I've got a chalice of beer here, so I'm just going to periodically sip, and I might also burp, and I'll probably just keep it in because laziness. Lovely. Oh, what is this I'm drinking, actually? Let's talk beer for a second, I suppose. Reputational Laundering from Pilot. 8%. I wish I'd spotted that sooner. Jesus. Right. Where were we? This collection has given us the opportunity to roam freely through our vast portfolio, brag, and experiment with old and new cask types, including various wine and local spirit casks to create 8 one-of-a-kind expressions that we've never imagined before. Deep breath. Okay. Marketing waffle. So let's not waste any time. I mean, I feel like they already have, but anyway. Let's taste through the Diageo special. Well, they're going to be tasting it. I'm not going to be because I don't have a mansion. So we start with a Lagavulin 12-year-old. The Ink of Legends, where the Isla Distillery's distinctive smokiness is given a special release makeover with a finish in Don Julio Añejo tequila casks. Ooh. Nice, okay, right, so it's a tequila Lagavulin. Alright, well, I've got a mezcal Lagavulin on the bar at the minute, so meh. It's brave, but it works. Usually I'd give you about as much time for a tequila cask as I'd give a hungry caterpillar with my favourite apple, but the spirit character just muscles through, and so while this momentarily detours into mezcal territory, still feels true enough to lager. Nice, okay. Nose, padron peppers, spent bonfire, stone fruits, white chocolate and charred pineapple. That's a fascinating adventure. Palate is herbal smoke, stewed plums, orange peel and oaky spice. And finishes salted popcorn and toffee. Lovely. And the artwork on it is... okay, it looks nice enough, I suppose. I suppose we're supposed to be focusing on the woman's tattoo. I guess that's what we're... Anyway, there's a Mortlach that's been released. The Katana's Edge, apparently it's called. A Speyside Scotch finished in Kanasuke Japanese whiskey and Pinot Noir casks. My. Are they trying to tame the beast of Dufftown? I think they did that a few years ago, to be honest, mate. But anyway, it's certainly got the bright fruitiness that is often underrated from the distillery's output, and it times its blend of sweet and savoury. I think that's supposed to read "and at times," but it says "and it times." And at times, its blend of sweet and savoury is a bit muddled. Yeah, that makes more sense. Like having dinner and dessert at the same time. Hey, don't knock it, pal. The Americans have perfected it. Also shooting children. But it's definitely worth trying. The whiskey, not the infanticide. Nose. There's a very elegant tropical star fruitiness that adds contrast to the cured meats, clove, red chilli, earthiness, and black pepper present. Palate is pear drops, toffee pudding, orange peel, marzipan, plenty of soy sauce-like umami flavours. Okay. I feel like there's a little bit of bias in these, you know what I mean? Like the last one talked about padron peppers, with it being a tequila cask. And this one's talking about soy sauce, with it being a Japanese whiskey cask. It's just something that I'm starting to pick up, but we'll see. And the finish is rich and full-bodied, so that's nice. We have a Singleton of Glendullen. It's a 14-year-old, known as the Silken Gown, and there is a picture of a woman in an orange dress by the sea, I think that is. It's quite a nice image, actually, I've got to say. It is quite a nice label. The labels always look lovely on these whiskies. It's the content that we should be worrying about there. A single malt finished in rich white Burgundy French oak casks and bottled at 55% ABV. Actually, did it mention the ABV on the other ones? I don't think it did. No, it didn't. That's the first time they've mentioned the ABV. Interesting. Diageo malt ambassador Charlotte Barker says the flavour of this brings to mind a cartoon character floating to the enticing aroma of a freshly baked apple pie on a windowsill. Ah, okay. And so the nose is Scottish tablet, yellow fruit brioche, and of course the apple pie. Palate is orchard fruit. Just another way of saying apples. Aromatic spice, buttery pastries, another way of saying pie, and nutmeg, another way of saying pie. They've basically just taken an apple pie and gone, let's just break it down to the constituent ingredients and call it a day. And the finish is vibrant, it says, so that's lovely. I don't have a cold, by the way. Mo's starting to molt, so I'm having a bit of an allergic episode. Maybe more beer will help. Who can say, but it's quite nice. Right, we've got a Talisker, because of course we do. The Wild what does that say? Wild Explorador. Yeah, no, that is what the label says as well. I thought I'd check, given we've had some spelling issues before in this. Finished in a combination of white, tawny, and ruby port casks. Fucking hell. Alright, so basically just went, right, what port casks we got kicking around? Like, throw all of them at it. Before it was bottled at 59.7% ABV. It's almost like they remembered all of us, like, halfway through the article, oh yeah, I should mention the ABV. But anyway, that's by the by. There's a history of Talisker shining in port cask. The portrait is gorgeous. I will testify to that. But this one still shakes things up a little with 3 different varieties following an initial maturation in first fill barrels. I would be far more interested if they broke... Do you know what would be truly groundbreaking? If they broke the Talisker into 3 releases, done in a white, a tawny, and a ruby port. That would be a special release, because you'd be like, oh, they're actually doing something different. But maybe marrying them together creates some kind of super port experience, but I can't help but think that, I don't know, I haven't tried it, that's the thing, but just in my head, in my brain canon, I can't but think that it's, you know when you like get a load of plasticine and just smush it together and you end up with grey? But then what would I know? I'm not a master blender. I'm not a distiller. I'm not marketing. Oh, that was a horrible noise. Terribly sorry. This one has a really good balance of cask complexity and distillery character. Well, I'll shut up then. Think Druro and Sky holding hands rather than boxing in the glass. Come on now. The nose is sooty smoke, frazzles, dried fruit, tannic wood, and sea salt. Palate is almost like an old-school Bowmore with all its rich peat and power teeming with wine cask notes and dark berries, nutmeg and caramel. And the finish is more smoke and sea, as well as cinnamon-dusted pastries and jam. So that's quite good. I'm going to skip past the one that I will talk about at the end, and we'll move on to the Oban 11. It's called the Soul of Calypso. Oban whiskey that spent time in Caribbean pot still rum casks for its bottle at 58% ABV. Good example of a rum cask done well. It suits the coastal fruity Oban spirit. And the label is... It's a lady in a headdress, I believe. Some lovely artwork on this, actually, I do have to say. As the nose is chocolate ice cream, dried mango, gingerbread and spiced apple chutney. We've got a palette of vanilla, orange, chewy sweets. That's a bit generic, but I think we all know the ones they're talking about. Cinnamon and tropical fruit juice. And the finish is baking spice and caramel. What is baking spice? That's a very odd term. Definitely have the least to say about this one. Just a quick sentence or two there. I suppose you could call it a paragraph, couldn't you? Next we have a Clynelish 10-year-old. The excitement levels continue to escalate when we notice the waxy wonder of Clynelish. Always talking about the waxiness of Clynelish. I've read recently, actually, why that is. It's because of a thick layer of slime in the stills, so I'm told. With the Jazz Crescendo... Oh, now you're talking my language. There's a cat on the label and jazz. Buy me this bottle immediately. Oh, it's speaking to me. I'm not going to say anything about being 10 years old, because that's dodgy territory. This one might slip under the ride... God, I can't talk today. This is 8% beer. This one might slip under the radar due to its more conventional maturation, but the whiskey is picked well, as the American oak bourbon casks allow the spirit's personality to shine. Okay, so it's a cask strength. Actually, we don't know the strength of it. We would assume it's a cask strength, because the special releases tend... Well... always are. I'm pretty... Yeah. So it's a bourbon Clynelish. 10 years old. All right. Oh, interesting. Wow. I thought I'd taken some substances then, because I have read nose, teeth and lips sweets. Just the full face right there. Nose, teeth and lips sweets. Charred pineapple and vanilla bean. The palate is solid caramel, white pepper, nectarines, milk chocolate, and a little nuttiness, so quite all over the place. And finishes long with... Okay, right, no, I wasn't reading that wrong. Excuse me. The finish is long with spiced with vanilla, is what it says. And then we have an old one. It's a 27-year-old Glenkinchie. I'm surprised it doesn't have the striding man on it, to be completely honest with you. The oldest expression of the range rounds us off, a Glenkinchie 27-year-old expression named the Floral Treasure. There's a picture of a vase surrounded by apple blossoms, and there's a couple of butterflies as well. It's a very lovely sort of spring image. This is one of the most mature bottlings to date from the distillery. Didn't they... No, I'm thinking of the Dalwhinnie. Dr. Morrison says he earned his ticket at Diageo by monitoring certain recipes and casks. When he tasted this one back in 2014, he found the cold local climate was arresting the maturation, so knew to leave it longer and come back. He also says that yield was good and that the angels were kept at bay, hence the 58.3% bottling strength. That is quite high for something nearly 30 years old. A mix of refill American and European oak barrels and butts gives this Lowlander a subtle complexity. Absolutely one of the highlights from the 2023 release. The nose, though elegant, through elegant elderflower aromas comes cookie dough. Fascinating. Peaches and syrup and toasted almonds. And the palate is a smattering of oak spice, prickles through orchard fruits and citrus notes, as well as beautiful sweet vanilla elements, gracefully long and delicately floral. So that's the spiel, and it was written by a man called Adam O'Connell. Lovely. What I am going to quickly do, actually, because I didn't think about this at the time, I'm going to have a look at their actual sales and see how much they actually cost. 23, because I've got a few things loaded up, but I didn't actually get the prices. So let's have a look here. Let's go into the Whiskey Exchange. What have we got? Oh, I'm going to have to click each one individually. That's irritating. Right, here we go. So, the Talisker, which actually doesn't have an age range. Interesting. Okay, no age range, no age statement, I should say. 59.7%, £120. That'll cost you for a stronger portree. Effectively, is what we're looking at. It even says as much in the Whiskey Exchange description. It calls it reminiscent of Talisker portree with aromas of plum, peat smoke, and dark chocolate. So there we go. The Singleton 14, that'll set you back £132 for a 14-year-old. We have the Lagavulin 12-year-old. That'll be £155, please. This is the 22nd release of Lagavulin 12-year-old, released as part of Diageo's Special Releases series. The Mortlach Katana's Edge. Again, I think I'm right in saying no age statement. It's not stopping them from selling it for £250, possibly because of the unusual casks, and also that they're trying to make Mortlach into a designer whiskey, and I wouldn't say succeeding. Glenrothes are going down that lane, actually, which is quite funny. We should have a look at that at some point, but not today. Oh, now. The Clynelish 10-year-old, £165. Just out of curiosity. Oh, interesting, actually. There is... Can't really find anything. Yeah, actually, do you know what? A very quick Google is showing me that actually... Yeah... sort of cash strength 10-year-old Clynelishers, they don't tend to come cheap by the looks of it, so I was kind of hoping to be able to rip that apart, but I'm not seeing the evidence to do it with. Though I might just not be, because again, I haven't prepared necessarily. The Oban 11-year-old is 140. The Glenkinchie 27 is not available. Right, well, thanks for that. Let's just pretend it was £1 million, because and the Rose Isle is also gone. Which brings us to the Rose Isle, because I haven't talked about that yet. Leaving it last for a reason. This is definitely the thing that has stuck out to people. I kind of ignored the special releases this year, because I had kind of decided I wasn't going to get sucked into them. Like with last year and looking into them, I was just like, do you know what? Okay, they're for somebody, they're not for me. And then the Rose Isle popped up, and I was like, oh, for God's sake. It was actually Kev at the Athletic Arms. That he didn't make me personally aware. He made myself and his followers aware on the old Facebook that it had been released, and he'd managed to get a bottle early. Because he's well known and respected, is Mr. McGee. So the Rose Isle 12-year-old. The copy states, our eyebrows raised beyond our upsettingly, increasingly high hair blah, blah. Yeah, we're all getting older, mate. When we spot the Rose Isle whiskey. The distillery is making not only its special releases debut this year, but is also celebrating its first public release. It's called the Origami Kite, based in Speyside. The distillery was initially just a maltings that dates back to the 80s. But in 2009, a distillery opened that was designed to support blended malt operations. This, do you know, there's a lot of copy to this because there's a lot to talk about. That means a flexible production capability. So this is a real chameleon producer. Ah, nice. I've been calling it that myself when I've been selling it. So it's nice to see that it's not just me. Dr. Morrison says the spirit can be adjusted to be more nutty or grassy. He spent his early years in Diageo sampling casks from Rose Isle, so it's a spirit he's seen develop over the years, making him a safe pair of hands for its first launch. In an era where distillery character is held in such high regard, it's interesting to see a distillery reveal in how many hats it can wear, and this was aged in first fill bourbon and refill casks to showcase one side of Rose Isle. It's superb. If you do get lucky enough to get a bottle, make sure you actually drink some. It's a knowing wink there to what people are probably going to actually be doing with this. The nose, coffee fudge, marzipan, demerara sugar, and ocean breeze, cut grass, and blackcurrant jam. I've been having a lot of blackcurrant jam recently, and for some reason, whenever I make myself like a blackcurrant jam on crumpets or something like that, because I'm cripplingly English, sorry everyone, I can't help but think of there's a bit in the Aid Edmondson and Rick Mayall series Bottom where they're watching VHS tapes and he's been trying to get all these like dirty porny ones because I don't know, flatmates that wank together stay together. I don't know. I'm honestly not now as an adult. I'm like, what was the plan here, lads? Because I don't know, if I got an erection in front of my friends, I'd be a little bit embarrassed. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't understand that, but hey, maybe straight people are different. Maybe they're all for it. And there's this bit where they're going through like all the videos that he's rented, and I think he calls them the Hussein brothers, who are supposedly own the video shop, and they've basically been like playing pranks on him and telling him a video is one thing because he's, I don't know, either dyslexic or illiterate, one or the other. And one of them is, he says, well, this was a surefire hit, Swedish lesbians in blackcurrant jam. And I'm just like, okay, why? Why would a video be called that? Turns out it's not. It's Swedish legends in blackcurrant jam making. And in the end, they stick with the furry honeypot adventure, and it's not what they think it is at all. Just a little one for the Bottom fans there. Not the fans of Bottoms, that's... Well, I'm both, actually, come to think of it. But... Another sip of beer. The palate, moving back to the whiskey. More of the big fruity notes with tinned peaches, fig rolls, and crystallised oranges. Crystallised oranges? Can you get crystallised oranges? How exciting. Joined by a smattering of rich spice. And the finish is nutty and creamy. Again, I have nothing more to comment about other than we're back to the furry honeypot adventure. So yeah, that's the special releases. Now then, the Rose Isle is one that I bought. I didn't buy it for myself, I bought it for the pub. I'm charging 13 quid a nip for it. Because it was an expensive bottle. Hang about, let me have a look actually. What did I pay for it? GP tracker. GP calculator. Where are we? Rose Isle. This is why I don't make content anymore, because I'm busy parenting a pub. Although I have recently discovered I'm like massively over for my hours for the entire year, so might have a bit more time now. It's unlikely, but you never know. So I paid $89.60 ex VAT. So yeah, that's that basically. People have been curious. People have been interested. Do you know what a fascinating thing actually? So just down the road from the pub, there is an art shop. We have a lot of chalkboards, and we put our casks up on little like chalkboard board things, and then put them on. There's a couple of barrels at the top of the bar, and there's these little like slats that have been like crudely cut out and painted black, and they're used as like chalkboard slats to put cask information on. And they don't fit very well, but they work. It's fine. So we get through a lot of chalk pens is where this is going. So we go to the art store every now and then to replenish our chalk pens. And the lady at the desk was saying, "Oh, I've been waiting for you to come in." I was like, all right, okay, why is that? And she went, because I'd put up about the Rose Isle, and I'd hang about, let me get my phone actually, what have I done with it? I'll read the actual thing that I put up. Instagram, oh, it's on my Instagram, just clock into the pubs. Right, Rose Isle, where are you? Here we are. Right, so I wrote, another first, Rose Isle, we've kept the tin because the marketing nonsense is hilarious if you happen to be in the know. Rose Isle is basically a whiskey factory designed to churn out volumes of whiskey in a variety of styles. The idea of a single bottling from the distillery is a curious one then, but well worth a go. So I was kind of mocking it a little bit because the tin was just so full of nonsense. Somebody's actually stolen the tin since, so I don't know if maybe... I don't know. But, yeah, conspicuously absent in the pub. So... She also just looked quite cross for some reason. I can't put my finger onto why, but she basically said, "Oh yeah, I read that you said something about the Rose Isle. It was just a long pause, and I was like, yeah. Just like, I did the label. And I was stood there in the art shop, about to go into work, and I was like, oh fuck, am I about to get a bollocking? I genuinely thought like, oh shit, she's furious at me. So I'm stood there, and I'm like trying to wriggle out of it. I'm like, yeah, well, I just thought I'd, be a bit tongue-in-cheek. She's like, I'm like, without changing her facial expression at all, which looked cross, I have to say, she did look cross. She went, I liked it. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I designed the label. And then we started talking about the whiskey for a bit and how she's owed a bottle and where she might be able to get one. So yeah, I've met the person quite scarily, I have to say, because I thought, oh god, I'm about to get a bollocking. But yeah, I've met the person who's done the label, which is quite exciting. She actually, I can do a bit of promoing for her. So it is. So on Instagram, she goes by Funch Ninja, FUNCHNINJA. And she's a freelance illustrator. And she also has a cat who she describes as shit. But I'm sure he's a sweetie, or she's a sweetie. I don't know the gender of the animal, but that's mine actually. He's having a nap on a pile of clothing that needs to go in the washing machine. God bless you, Mo. God bless you. Right, so do you know what? I'll read a bit of the waffle actually on the Whiskey Exchange as well for the Rose Isle, because why not? Let's talk about Rose Isle. The first ever release of Rose Isle Single Malt pays homage to the centuries-old craft of origami kite making. How? How does it do that exactly? Which combines wonder, as soon as I read the word wonder, I know I'm in for a treat. Which combines wonder, simplicity, and a touch of something magical to make colourful and elegant creations. Next sentence. Inspired by the art form, this expression has been matured in first fill bourbon and refill cast to create a lush character. There is no connection. Can I just be the first to say, there is literally no connection. Balancing sweet vanilla, ripe fruit, and white chocolate. What are the tasting notes on here, actually? We didn't mention white chocolate, did we? No, blackcurrant jam, that was it. Coffee and big notes of tinned peaches, fig rolls, and crystallized oranges. And then we've got vanilla, ripe fruit, and white chocolate with underlying spiciness and warmth. So there we go, that's nice, isn't it? Diageo special releases, they're a funny breed. Not ha-ha funny, but, they're a funny old breed. To kind of summarise my own feelings, I'm actually going to quote another Edinburgh pub, the Ensign Ewart, because I did think it was odd that they hadn't had any Rose Isle in, because they're a very well-stocked whiskey bar, like very well-stocked. They do break-evens all the time. They'll get entire ranges in. They're also on the Royal Mile. They're right next to the castle, so they're going to be like rotating through it all the time. I mean, we do well for ourselves, but we're not exactly on the main drag. Although excitingly, we were in the Times recently as the only Edinburgh pick for 5 best whiskey bars in Scotland, which is very exciting. Our picture was the cover photo, and also we were the first. I don't want to say number one, because that implies that we were at the top, and it's not that kind of a ranking thing. It's a list, and we happen to be the first mentioned. So I want to clarify that, because I think a few people have read into that I'm saying that we are the number one whiskey, and it's not. It's clearly not that from the article, although it's also behind a subscription wall, so I suppose I could, in theory, say anything, but I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to, because I'm too honest for my own good. But even so, this week actually is my 1 year anniversary taking over the pub. So getting something like, because I had no idea what was happening. Well, I had an idea. They emailed the pub and they were like, "Hey, we're doing an article about the pub," and they just wanted to confirm the opening times. So I was like, okay, cool, we're getting a listing saying, because we end up a lot on like these are the 15 best pubs in, it's kind of, they sort of recycle the same content, so they're not really saying anything new. The Blazer is often on those lists. I mean, deservedly so. because it's an institution. It's got a lot of goodwill behind it, and it's a proper drinking booze that's largely been left alone because it doesn't have the sort of churn it out sort of almost like money making factory capabilities that a lot of like the grass market ones do. For starters, you couldn't fit a kitchen in there if you wanted to. It's just not without losing seating space. Or putting a lift in because the geography of the building just doesn't permit it. So that's these pubcos when it comes to city centre things, they're not interested. They just want the money. The further out you go, like little community pubs, they actually kind of leave them alone a little bit. But your city centre ones, they're on your case all the time. So they're like, you need to be making us the money. And having worked in those places, it's not fun. So anyway, back to the Ensign Ewart. It's new break-even bottle time. Now, an explanation as to why they hadn't featured it sooner. I feel sorry for them, because we've had this happen ourselves. This one was supposed to be on the bar a few weeks ago, but thanks to the postie smashing a couple of bottles, we've had to wait. I mean, your heart sinks, doesn't it? It's the first release from Diageo's workhorse distillery Rose Isle. We stopped buying their special releases a couple of years ago through principle, brackets, overpriced shite. But seeing as this is the only way to try whiskey from this distillery, we thought we'd give it a bash. Is it any good? You can find out yourself for £6 for 35ml. So I mean that beats my price quite significantly, but they're not making any money off of it. It's very much a tease you into the door kind of a thing, which is fair enough. It works well for them. Because once you're there, you're not just going to be like, right, cool, I'll just have that. But, well, you might, but, you'd have to be a bit on the tight side, wouldn't you? Particularly if you're, because that's going to get you through the door if you're a whiskey drinker to start with, you'd be like, oh, Rose, I want to try that. And then once you're in, you start looking at the shelves and going, oh, they've got this, oh, they've got that. Because, I mean, just having a look, actually, at some of their stuff. I mean, they put through beautiful photography, by the way. This is something that really doesn't get, lauded enough with a lot of pubs that really look after their socials, and the Ensign Ewart is absolutely one of them. They're always posting about their whiskies, and the pictures that they put out are beautiful. It's proper photography. It's like Ardner Merkins. There's a Thompson Brothers Balminics and stuff. We've got a Dallas Dew there. There's a Port Ellen behind a chain. That's the Rose Isle we're just looking at. They've got the Hurricane, the Arrival, ditto. I'm jealous of the amount of room they've got, because I don't have as much shelf. I have less shelving at the minute because I smashed one recently. They've got the Woodrow's Ben Nevis as well. Snap. And the Pintail Kalila. Gorgeous Kalila, that one. Pinot de Charentes cask. We reserved ours a good few months in advance because the Pintail range, they're arranged by the whiskey sellers. I'm going completely off track now, aren't I? But fuck it. My thing. So, I was a tasting at the Bow Bar a good few months ago now, and we got to try some of their stuff, and they were handing out samples of a few things that they were thinking of maybe bottling, but they wanted kind of a consensus. They wanted a second opinion, basically, how's this going, basically? And one of them was a Glenlossie that had been finished in a Picolet wine cask. Picolet's a Italian fortified wine from a very small output region, if memory serves. I'd never heard of it before, but they spoke about it, so I'm far from an expert, and I could be entirely wrong when I'm saying it might be made on the moon, but gorgeous, beautiful. I mean, fantastic we get a lot of folk in who are kind of like, I want a sweet whiskey, and it wasn't tooth-achingly sweet, but it was definitely more kind of what people are looking for when they say a sweet whiskey. This was kind of like strawberry bonbons and apples, and it was lovely, beautiful whiskey. And all of us basically just went, get that in a bottle as soon as you can, please, we want to buy it. And the distributor that I work with for some of these, I use a few, but the one that I use for these more sort of niche ones, they're just a little off. They've just recently hit 10 years old, actually. They're a little off license, just in Edinburgh. And I was like, look, I basically just want to give effectively a standing order. As soon as you get them, just send them out. And that's what basically they did. Like, would rock up on a Tuesday, and the bottle wouldn't be there waiting outside. They'd obviously they deliver and make sure it's signed for, but yeah, it would just be it would show up, and then we get the invoice and we pay it, or we get a reminder about it 2 months later, and be like, oh shit, we missed that. Sorry. It happens sometimes, unfortunately. The Meal Tour. I should talk about that at some point. I love a Glenallachie. I love a peated. It's surprising I haven't really jumped on that yet. Oh, they've got the Red Castell Ewan. There's a lot of overlap, actually. I didn't realise. I'm just spotting like a lot of stuff in their range that I've got behind the bar as well. I don't have a 24-year-old Springbank, however. Bloody hell. Ooh. I should pop in here again at some point. It's been a long time. I tend to avoid the Royal Mile. I'm not so much avoiding the tourists, I'm swatting them off me at this point. But and some lovely Connoisseur's Choice Tininic, distilled in 1968. Oof. Right. I was quickly going to talk about the Rose Isle entry on ScottishWhiskey.com, but it's kind of already been covered in other things. Basically, it's a mega distillery. Huge, big mass, but although it doesn't produce as much liquid as Glenfiddich, interestingly enough. 14 stills. What's their capacity actually? Doesn't seem to say. That's fine. 14 stills. It's huge, and it's just for knocking out extra whiskey. There was concern at the time that it was basically meant to be retiring other distillery, but it turned out they just needed more output, basically. And you know what? In blends, I suppose it sort of works. But it's an interesting concept, although not unique to them. Because ScottishWhiskey.com does make a very good point that Springbank, they do the exact same thing. They produce different types of spirit. The much overlooked Hazelburn, which actually I have to say I prefer to their standard stuff, which is unusual for me. I don't tend to like the sort of clean, bright, fruity stuff, but this seems to be the exception for me, the Hazelburn. I don't quite know why, but maybe I just feel sorry for it. I've always liked an underdog, and it just struggles next to its big brother 10-year-old, that's my thoughts. I won't be buying any for personal consumption. I haven't been sent out a PR pack because I can't be trusted to say nice things about it without flawlessly. That kind of stuff is reserved for the kind of people that can be guaranteed to say something nice about it without fail. And it's a way of paying the bills. I can't begrudge it. Times are tough, but it's not my way. I'm going to wrap that up. Actually, that was the Diageo special releases, and just sort of some general thoughts on them and sort of what they are. A bit of an overview. Was this interesting? Was this nice to listen to when you were doing the dishes? Because it's so small, and because I've not put anything out for a while, and YouTube's kind of like, is he dead? I think he might be dead. I'm going to stop recommending the videos, so that's going to be a slow slog. It might well never get back to where it was, and that's just the nature of these things, unfortunately. But life comes first. I don't know where I was going with this. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm not like the begging stage of join my. Well, I don't even have a Patreon anymore because I can barely keep up with YouTube, so I definitely couldn't do the extras, and it just wasn't fair anymore to be asking people for money and they get more or less bugger all in return. So I just pulled the pin on it and went, this isn't fair for you guys. But thank you very much for your contributions. It is extremely thingy. I will announce things, if I start up with that again, if I manage to find a better work-life balance, because at the minute it's still a bit. I think this might just be how my life is for the next few years now, because obviously I've moved up a little bit, and it's responsibilities, and all that nonsense. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for listening. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on the Diageo special releases. Have you tried any of them? Have you given the Rose Isle a go? I haven't actually tried it yet. I don't know that I care that much, to be honest, because it was never designed to have its own individual merit. It was almost designed to sort of copy other styles. I just don't think I'm that interested. Is it a bit of a cynical ploy that they've bottled some of it? Yeah. Oh, come on now. Come on now, honey. But yeah, I might give it a go at some point, and I'll probably film it if I do. But don't hold your breath, basically. Unless you all badger me, in which case I suppose I have to, because that's how peer pressure works, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and do join me next time, where I'll be talking about something else. I need to rethink these outros.